What does a trade package for Walker Kessler actually look like, and also for another prominent young up-and-coming big man? All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dario from Knicks Digest. Let's get right into today's video. So we've officially hit September. Happy Labor Day to everybody. The NBA news cycle is very slow. Knicks news is very slow. We're about, a month away from preseason. And it got me to thinking about the team, players that we have on our roster, and it really got me to think about what do we need. And in the last few videos, I've been talking about that five-man spot. The starting five, Mitchell Robinson, I'm sorry to say, man, you're a bit injury prone, and also the backup five. Right now, our backup five is Precious Achiuwa, and it looks like Julius Randle may have to play some five-man throughout the season, which I'm not a big fan of. So seeing how it's very light on news, my brain got to working and I started to think about these different trades and different players that the Knicks can target. And the first player that I want to talk about is someone that Chris and I have been talking as of late, Walker Kessler. But what I want to do is I actually want to talk about what a trade package for Walker Kessler would actually look like. What would the Knicks offer for Walker Kessler? Now, I was playing around with the ESPN trade machine, and if you take a look here, it's a straight up trade, Walker Kessler for Precious Achiuwa. I'm not a big fan of Precious Achiuwa. If you guys have been tuning in to the Knicks Digest YouTube channel, I said time and time again, I just don't like his game. I just don't like his feel for the game. And yeah, I commend him for everything he's done while he's been a Knick. But if we could get a young up-and-coming big man like Walker Kessler, who knows his role, who's going to be a defensive anchor, who is going to protect the paint, protect the rim, and he's not scared to get dunked on, then I'm 100% going for that. Now, going back to this trade, the ESPN trade machine said it was a successful trade for a 1v1. But, of course, Walker Kessler and the Utah Jazz, they're not going to do that. Precious Achiuwa, in my opinion, is not enough for Walker Kessler if it's going to be a straight-up trade. But this is where the draft picks come into play. So, this past draft that just happened, the Oklahoma City Thunder sent 5 second-round picks to the New York Knicks. Those second-round picks are between 2025 and 2027. Now, as far as the draft picks that we have moving forward, 2025, we got a first-round pick from Detroit. That's going to be protected from 1 through 13. 2025, we also have another first-round pick, and that's from Washington. That's protected 1 through 10. In 2025, we have 2 second-round picks. One of them is not protected. One of them is protected from 31 to 55. 2026, we have a first-round pick, which is our own. In 2026, we also have 2 second-rounders, and they're both not protected. 2027, we have 2 second-round picks, and they're both not protected. 2028, we have 2 second-round picks. One of them is not protected. One of them is protected from 31 to 45. 2030, we have 1 first-round pick, and that is our own. We own that one. 2031 is a second-round pick, and we own that as well. So I'm giving you all that information to tell you guys that we do have draft picks that we can offer the Utah Jazz. Now, if the Utah Jazz was smart, we'll be looking for a first-round pick. And seeing how we gave up 5 first-rounders for Mikal Bridges, I'm actually a little bit surprised that we actually have enough draft picks to even make this offer a little lucrative, if you will. So if I'm the Utah Jazz, I'd definitely be looking for first-round picks. But if I'm the Knicks, I am not looking to give up my 2 first-round picks in the 2025 NBA draft. Now, the next question we have to ask ourselves is how many draft picks does Walker Kessler deserve? Walker Kessler, he just finished his 2nd season. The first season in his rookie year, he played 74 games. The second season, 64 games. In his rookie season, he averaged 9 points, 8.5 rebounds, 1 assist, 0.4 steals, 2.3 blocks. In his sophomore season that just happened, he finished with 8 points, 7.5 rebounds, 1 assist, 0.5 steals, 2.5 blocks. The Utah Jazz, they're kind of in basketball purgatory. They don't really have a direction right now. They have talent. They have Lauri Markkanen. They have Colin Sexton. They have Walker Kessler, obviously. They have John Collins. They do have talent. Chris Dunn. They have talent, but it seems like they don't really know what direction they're trying to go. And Danny Ainge being the general manager, I believe, like we know Danny Ainge is 100% cutthroat. Like if he sees an opportunity, he will take it. And I'm just not sure what the Utah Jazz is doing right now. So that's why I'm kind of just throwing this out there that if the Utah Jazz don't really know what they're doing, then why not throw Walker Kessler in the trade? Just how many picks Danny Ainge is going to look for, that's the question. Danny Ainge is probably going to be stingy, and he probably wants all of our first rounders for Walker Kessler, which 100% I don't think he deserves that. But maybe one first rounder with a couple of second rounders, I don't know. Maybe Danny Ainge will fall for that. But moving on from Walker Kessler, the next player I'm going to talk about got me really excited. So I tried to veer away from players that Chris and I have been talking about lately. And the players we've been talking about, yes, Walker Kessler, Clint Capella, but this player, first and foremost, he's 20 years old. He's on a team that absolutely has no direction. If I talked about the Utah Jazz not having a direction, this team, they don't even have a compass. They're just completely lost in the woods. And I'm talking about Jalen Duren from the Detroit Pistons. Going back to the ESPN trade machine, so you can see here Jalen Duren will be coming to the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks will be shipping out Precious Achiuwa and Jericho Sims. But of course, if I'm the Detroit Pistons, I am not doing that trade. But just like the Walker Kessler trade, this is where the draft picks come into play. Now, for Jalen Duren, the question is, how many draft picks is he worth? How many first rounders and second rounders? If I'm the Detroit Pistons, I am 100% being stingy. I am asking for all the first rounders that the Knicks have available to them, because Jalen Duren is 20 years old and he has a lot of promise to him. And if you're the Detroit Pistons, like I said earlier, like, you absolutely have no direction. You have a nice piece in Cade Cunningham being the first pick, I believe 2 seasons ago. He's going into his third year. But if you're the Detroit Pistons, what are you actually doing with Cade Cunningham? Are you waiting for him to develop and grow into his own? Now, mind you, you got to remember that Cade Cunningham, they're looking at him as far as being the future for the Detroit Pistons. They're looking at him for being the best player in the team, best player in the organization, best player in the franchise. That's a lot of responsibility. How long is it going to take for Cade Cunningham to really grow into his own and take on that mantle? Now, if you're the Detroit Pistons, you have one of two roads. You have that road to go where you wait for Cade Cunningham to grow into his own, and then the other road is you start rebuilding around him as soon as possible, because the Detroit Pistons, the last few seasons, they've been at the bottom of the barrel of the Eastern Conference. Last season, Cade Cunningham had a really weird shin injury that took him out for like most of the season. I think he was gone by like January. But the Detroit Pistons, you guys have been at the bottom of the barrel of the Eastern Conference for the past few seasons. So you have an amazing opportunity right now to just stash up picks, surround pieces around Cade Cunningham moving forward. Because if you're going to wait for the tandem of Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, then I'm not sure exactly how much of a bright future you guys have. And if you're the New York Knicks, if you are able to get Jalen Duren, you're able to get Jalen Duren, and Mitchell Robinson does not have to be part of the trade package. Mitchell Robinson, like I said earlier, I'm sorry to say, but you're a little bit injury prone. So if Mitchell Robinson is out with the injury, we got Jalen Duren to take over the starting 5-man spot. Do you know how clutch that is? And then on top of that, if Mitchell Robinson is actually able to have a healthy season, Jalen Duren coming off the bench, that's a scary big man lineup. Now, the next question that's rumbling in my mind is, what type of player is Jalen Duren? And I don't mean skill-wise, I don't mean offensively, defensively. I'm actually talking about the type of person Jalen Duren is. Jalen Duren is very, very young. So he might have the mindset of he needs his minutes, he needs his touches, he needs his starting games. You know, when you're young, you tend to just want everything instead of really looking forward and looking for the sacrificing for the team. Now, Jalen Duren, if he comes off the bench, are we going to hear about him not being happy with his role, not being happy with starting? He wants that starting spot. Like, I'm not sure what type of person Jalen Duren is. I don't really follow Detroit Pistons basketball. But if we're able to get Jalen Duren and not include Mitchell Robinson in part of the trade package for the Detroit Pistons, that 100% will give me the utmost confidence going into next season, or maybe around trade deadline for the rest of the season. Jalen Duren and Mitchell Robinson, they're kind of the same player. The only thing is that Mitchell Robinson has a lot more seasons under his belt. Jalen Duren, he does the same thing Mitchell Robinson does. He protects the rim, protects the paint, finishes alley-oop plays, cleans up the glass. He alters shots when guards come down the paint. Like, that's all we need from our big man spot. The number one team in the Eastern Conference right now is the Boston Celtics. And look at their two big men. You got Kristaps Porzingis, who's injury prone, and then you got Al Horford backing up Kristaps Porzingis. If you got Mitchell Robinson and Jalen Duren going up against those two, If Mitchell Robinson is healthy, because I know that's a big if, and I have to keep saying that every single time I say Mitchell Robinson's name, but if Mitchell Robinson is healthy, I am taking the tandem of Mitchell Robinson and Jalen Duren. That'll be special. And then going up against the rest of the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat, they only have Bam Adebayo. They don't really have a backup big. The Milwaukee Bucks, they have Giannis Antetokounmpo and Brook Lopez, but Giannis plays more of like a 3, maybe 4 sometimes. Brook Lopez, yeah, he can spread the floor with a 3-pointer, but at this point of his career, he's old, man. We have youth on our side. Aside from Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks, we got the Indiana Pacers we got to take a look at. Indiana Pacers, they have Miles Turner. Miles Turner is a really nice big, but Indiana Pacers, they definitely want to be including him in any trade packages, and they wouldn't even talk to the New York Knicks as far as, because they're like our rivals. So Miles Turner is definitely not available. But Mitchell Robinson, Jalen Duren going up against a Miles Turner, and their backup big, I don't really remember who their backup big is right now, but we look at the two big men that we have, they will be matching up very well with the rest of the Eastern Conference. And in Jalen Duren's 2 seasons that he's played in the NBA, his rookie season, he played 67 games. His sophomore season, he played 61 games. His rookie season, he averaged 9 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 0.7 steals, and 1 block. His sophomore season, he averaged 14 points, 11.6 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 0.5 steals, 0.8 blocks. So even though Jalen Duren only has 2 seasons under his belt, you see the progression, you see the development, and he's 20 years old, man. 20 years old. You could have him for the next foreseeable future, growing with a Jalen Brunson, growing with a Mikal Bridges. Julius Randle, I don't know what's going to, after this season, I don't know what's going to look like. It really depends on what happens this season. It depends on how far the Knicks go, and as far as how Julius Randle is happy with his role on the team. We don't have any hiccups throughout the season, but Jalen Duren growing with the core group of the Villanova boys and Julius Randle for the most part, that'll be a team in the Eastern Conference that the whole Eastern Conference would really have to take serious. Detroit Pistons, please make my wish come true, because you guys don't know what you're doing. You guys absolutely have no direction. Make my dream come true. Get Jalen Duren in trade talks. And the New York Knicks, we got to do our job as far as calling Detroit Pistons and just seeing if Jalen Duren if the Detroit Pistons are interested in including Jalen Duren in a trade package. Call the Detroit Pistons, see what it would take to trade Jalen Duren, how many first rounders, how many second rounders, how many first and second rounders in one trade package. If Jalen Duren is available, we need to at least inquire about him, because that would really take us over the hump. But guys, that's it for today's video. I want to say thank you so much for checking it out. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the Walker Kessler trade and also this Jalen Duren trade. Do you guys actually think it's a possibility, or is it just a pipe dream? But until next time, you guys know the drill. You know the vibes. Jalen Brunson for MVP. Mikal Bridges for Defensive Player of the Year. The deuce is loose for co-MVP. Taj Gibson for President. And until next time, I'll check you out in the next video.